notes so I
Mhm.
wouldn't forget.
Good.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
Nice to meet you, Skyra.
It is
Nice to
nice.
meet you too.
That's great. Welcome. Welcome to the Joko. As you see, our guests today are meeting each other, and I think it's an introduction that's long overdue, actually. The We are the Joko Collective. We are continuing our conversation with artists across genres as we complete our conversations on thinking about the world we want and how we get there, and approaching that through all of the areas of people activity as they are outlined by Mr. Neely Fuller and popularized by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And we really just sort of stumbled into it about I think 3 years ago now, having a conversation about education and the kind of educational system and processes we, like to see that could replace the one that continues to fail our children and our adults. And then we thought, well, since we did education, we might as well go through all the other areas of people activity. And we ended up on entertainment because there was no compelling reason to go through them alphabetically. And then we broke entertainment down into media, primarily journalistic style media, some pop culture, and then the arts. We've had a chance to talk to filmmakers, um, sculptors, dancers, writers, and now we're going to be talking to some visual artists. When images conjure art. Now, we at the Joko always like to start by acknowledging that we know we do this work in what's now called the Los Angeles Basin on the unceded lands of the Tongva people in what was Tovangan. And our third guest is joining us, Aziz. It should never be, or we should not allow it to go unremarked, that the United States is a settler colonial state. And the original occupants of this land remain and continue to thrive, and we don't want them to be symbolically annihilated through silence. And it looks like on the camera, Jahir is speaking for me, so that's perfectly fine. YouTube world, this is my great grandson, Jahir. We can go to the next slide and introduce our guest. So our guest today, we have Skyra Martinez. Skyra is a multidisciplinary Los Angeles artist who, in combination with traditional mediums, uses found objects and yard sale finds, discarded auto and electronic parts, and unwanted items intended for trash to create unique assemblage, sculpture, collage, and mixed media artworks. For the past 12 years, Skyra has owned and worked from Cielo Galleries and Studios, an autonomous community cultural space and art gallery. Cielo is located on Tongva land in beautiful historic South Central Los Angeles. We are also joined by DJ Watson. DJ Watson composes abstract portraits and figurative paintings that tell stories informed by African and indigenous diasporas and the crucible that shapes their descendants. A Pennsylvania native, she eventually migrated to Southern California, where she acquired an MFA from San Diego State University. A professor emeritus, she taught creative writing and African American art at San Diego City College, Currently, she paints in her studio in on Philadelphia's West Side. Her work was featured in Caribbean Creatives, a 2021 virtual group exhibition at the Urban Art Gallery in Philadelphia. In 2022, Algorithms of Myrrh was her first solo expedition. Love that name for an exposition. And we are joined by Aziz Diagne. Aziz Diagne is a self-taught multimedia artist and founder of Aziz Gallery, a fine arts gallery in Leimert Park Village, dedicated to underrepresented artists. In addition to watercolors and oils, Aziz produces collagraphs, multicolored prints produced from carved illustrations using a printing press of his own design. Aziz is most well known for his dynamic mastery of dessoise, a painstaking technique of reverse painting on glass. Aziz has traveled extensively through Africa, Europe, and South America, absorbing the art and cultures of diverse environments. These experiences have greatly enhanced his limitless repertoire and creative energy. Rich in symbolism, Aziz's work captures the spirit and ambience of the universal experience. We are so pleased and honored to have you all here with us. Now, give me a second, and since I have a partner sitting with me, I want to make a little adjustment. Whoops, where'd you go? There you are. See, because my little partner here is the camera loves him. So I want to get on camera too. There we go. All right. Okay. Now, you gonna go downstairs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See you. See you when you come back. All right. Let's have our conversation. And we want to start with, we sent out some notes, right? And at the questions, right? We want to give you a chance to preview the questions. And at the top of the question document, first there's, a source for what we've titled, this show, right? When Images Conjure Art, coming from Betty Saar, right? World-class, LA-based, artistic elder, etc. Par excellence. But then that was followed with what would often be a frame slide, right? That we would read, but just didn't do the slide. From Gloria Anzaldúa and her work Borderlands, La Frontera. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it, right? Because that's where our opening question really comes from. So, quote, Western cultures behave differently towards works of art than do tribal cultures. The quote unquote sacrifices Western cultures make are in housing their arts in the best structures designed by the best architects, and in servicing them with insurance, guards to protect them, conservators to maintain them, specialists to mount and display them, and the educated upper class to view them. Tribal cultures keep artworks in honored and sacred places in the home and elsewhere. They attend them by making sacrifices of blood, goat or chicken, libations of wine. They bathe, feed, and clothe them. The works are not treated just as objects, but also as persons. The witness is a participant in the enactment of the work in ritual and not a member of the privileged classes. Now, that quotation from Gloria also puts in mind, for me, the short story Everyday Use, right, by Alice Walker, thinking about, the artistry of quilting, and then whether a quilt should be displayed on a wall as a way of preserving it, or be it this living thing, right, part of everyday living life. So keeping, thinking about that, and the notion of art in the modern Western world. What's your response to Gloria Anzaldua's assertion about this distinction between Western attitudes, and particularly, I want to emphasize the modern West, right? And then what she characterizes as tribal cultures, and I think we could, characterize as the indigenous cultures of the world, the global South, etc. And anybody can get us started. Don't be too polite. Just go
Well,
ahead and jump in. Skyra, you
okay,
were
well,
saying something?
I don't mind saying something. Yeah, I was just going to say that I can completely relate to the differences
Mm-hmm.
Alice speaks to. In my own childhood, growing up, everything in our house was beautiful and creative and artistic, even if it was a dustpan and a broom. And that was my mother. And so
Mm-hmm.
I always learned to put the quilt on the bed, not necessarily to hang it on the wall. So I can definitely relate to that. I think that it kind of, I mean, I guess we'll get to this, but it kind of has a little bit to do with the gatekeeping too, right? This
Mm-hmm.
idea of something being sort of curtained off or sectioned off for, obviously for the elite, but even if the so-called non-elite attend, there's this. I think that in the world I want, art is useful, functional, and can be touched. And the use of art and the function of art does not have to be something that is so tangible either,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think that's all I have right now.
Yes. And
Yeah,
Aziz, it looks like you
I
were about
definitely
to.
relate
Yes.
to it.
yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not only I will take the audacity to talk for me and every black artist, or at least 99% of the black artists. Uh, and my way of talking is less eloquent. Is basically discrimination, gatekeeping, discrimination. I get it in all direction. I did get it in art. I get it in every single direction. This is straight uh, something I straightly, like people will just tell me, oh, go to the other gallery on the west side, or go to
Mm-hmm.
the gallery. There is I come to New York maybe in the 80s doing a show. I come to, galleries. They will tell me, oh, there is a Bragg gallery in Harlem, like that. As simple as that. Then, if there is discrimination in anything, in any profession, the biggest one is on art. It's not even in movies. In
Mm.
movie, they can see money immediately. Art is a total gatekeeping. The only time the art is accepted by the other people, the white, is when they accumulate the art. You're already dead. They have 200 of them. Then now you can be put on the pedestal. That's how the gatekeeping work like
Yeah.
that. But besides that, there is finance. And when they can control it, you aim. When they can't, I was getting it in black or white things, because in the 80s, being black art was a little bit difficult to put in somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you come, this person, he is like a big revolutionary, but he have white people coming to his house and all those kind of things. He will support you, but he don't want the work in his work. He didn't get to that point yet. Okay, now it's completely different. Is but is everything require progress, and that part too require progress. Now black art is a little bit more popular to white actually than black, because now they have a market, and since all the the black killing, police brutality, that
Mm-hmm.
created all this opportunity for black art to uh, to be accepted in some places.
Mm-hmm.
But gatekeeping, yeah, definitely, that's 100%. And this is personal experience. I don't
Yeah.
even have to go outside, and that shaped my life today. I couldn't go to any gallery, but I eliminated all the gallery for 25 years. If a gallery asked me to sell my work, I said no. But I know every single show around the country, the public accepted my work, but the gallery rejected my work. No exception. There is maybe 4 or 5 galleries who been selling my work, and then, but now when they need it, it's the only 4 gallery I actually let my work to be sold to. Still.
Right.
But I am 100% related. There is nothing to take out of that paraphrase.
Mhm.
Is we can just add more.
Right.
Yeah.
DJ?
Um, I was looking at that question earlier, and it took me back to like uh the discussion about Alice Walker and everyday use, and the whole premise of that story is based on uh, how we judge art, I believe, for usage or just, to look at it and know that's beautiful. And it took me back to like rock art. I had the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to begin teaching art history, so I had to do a bunch of research. And one of the things I wanted students to look at was the fact that people have this impetus, have a spirit to create art and to record. And I think that's one of the questions too that you had on that list, the purpose of art, and it's recording. And I specifically took a look at the trance dancers because I think that's what we as artists do, whatever our medium, but especially visual artists, to record, to write it down, and also to interpret meaning for people. Because we get our impetus, our inspiration, it's all around us, similar to what
Mm-hmm.
Jesus
Mm-hmm.
said. Like it's all around us, and so we have to interpret meaning for that in just a slice. You look at a painting or some sort of art piece; it's a slice, and people's attention spans grow shorter and shorter and shorter. So to be able to capture that and to deliver it to an audience, whether it's online, at a gallery, or whatever, I also agree with gatekeeping, the commentary on gatekeeping, that, you take a piece of art, put it in a gallery, but make it exclusive so people can't access to it, especially people that
Mm-hmm.
definitely have a need to access it, even beyond the aesthetics of it, but including that too. So definitely agree with that. But in terms of the purpose of art for me as an artist is to interpret meaning.
Interpret meaning.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's part of its social function. Or yeah, that's one of the reasons for art. And Skyra, is that what you were getting at when, say that its function is beyond just the practical, like of a quilt or um, a
Yes,
decorated
most
room?
definitely, most definitely. Yeah, I think that we come from a people who understand that, and even today, with we innately and intuitively understand that. And I think it shows in our work. And I think it points to the gatekeeping. Also, I think it points to, and Aziz sort of touched on this, is the use of Black bodies. We're in style right now, like we're the in thing. But at the same time, the gatekeeping is preventing us from really being able to express and to show to the people we want to express to, and we want to show in the ways that we want to express and in the ways that we want to show. And I think that we, my whole thing is this. I used to think for a long time in terms of gatekeeping and watching Black artists and people trying to get through those doors, that the answer was to create our own doors. But I don't think that's the answer anymore. I think the problem is the door itself. People fight to get a seat at the table, but now I'm looking at the table and thinking, well, wait a minute, let's get rid of the table and build something different. And as humans, because we are creative, because we do have imagination, that is so possible. And we have become monsters in a sense, to a point where we cannot go back to where we are supposed to be naturally. But what we can do is be the stewards and the caretakers of this earth. And it's possible. It's possible. And I think as artists, especially Black artists, we know that. We know this.
Yes.
And Yusuf, to add on to that, when
I would add that.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just add on to that in terms of, I remember when I was in Senegal, art was everywhere. It seemed like everybody was an artist and that was okay. And I know that's not true, like everybody was an artist, but if you wanted to do that, you could. And it was just like, it was like being in a candy shop. Art was everywhere and there was no big deal. But then I looked at some statistics about artists and how many people, it wasn't broken down by race, but oh yes, it was actually, that there's like 1% of the people in the United States that make their living as artists. So
make their living as artists.
Yeah, make their living like professionally. Yeah. They're able to do that. And there's some of us just persevere. And do other things like teaching in order to practice.
Yeah, 1% of the entire US population. Interesting.
Which I think means...
Who was speaking? Go ahead. Skyra, was that you or Aziz?
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think one of the problems is the actual definition of art.
Yeah. Okay.
It's such a, it's in our world, we seem to see it through such a Western lens. What is art? What is the definition of art? I feel like in this world, we are forced to follow a definition that is maybe not true to us. And maybe humans are all artists and creators, and we all can think outside the box, and we all have this amazing imagination. But it is from when you are a child, and I think this is global because the reach of the West is global. It is, it's dulled purposely. It's dulled. But I question, what is an artist? What is art? I question that. I think it's always from a Western lens, and I think I wish that we could maybe take a step back.
This creation of a particular type of specialist, right? That special people, participate in this activity, or people who have been specially trained to do so.
Yeah.
Aziz?
Yeah. And to put art in a box.
Yeah.
Yes, hello?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, well, I just was wondering if you wanted to comment on anything that Skyra or DJ said, and particularly about just the innate creativity of people and our ability to...
The definition of, I 100% agree with that. The definition, how they define artists, I think everybody is creative. I teach art. I can, regardless, I teach printmaking. Take people 4 years to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
All form of them. Then most of my best student is somebody who can't run or make a circle. Then actually I tell them after 4 weeks, if you can't get it, go get a job as a typist or something else. You will never get it, and I never have a failure. Then
Right.
you can pull art. You can pull art out of anybody willing to. But what they call, but that doesn't make you an artist. You can do the work, but doesn't make you still an artist. I think after doing it for 50 years, I don't even know how to do something else. I did have a job as a, engineering,
Mm-hmm.
feed, buy my house, do all those kinds of, with that things. But I that's the only things I do. I paint to go to sleep. Even and I can't even enjoy a vacation without creating something or getting something from that thing. Then I really have to resign when anybody show up in the door and just say I'm an artist. Then that's mean take me 40 years to come trying to figure it out. Somebody can just come out of the door, just come today and be an artist tomorrow with one painting. Then I 100% agree. The definition of artists have to be, there is some work there. I don't have the language, but I do know there's not to make sense. But the gatekeeper again can make anybody an artist in 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those with control. Tasha,
Yeah,
you have a
that,
question.
that, that's I do every month, like the gallery been here for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I get emerging artists. I do 3 shows. That's mean basically 60 artists to 90. For the first time, I will give them an opportunity to be, uh, uh, because it's not every artist who will ever have a solo show.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wanted to make sure every artist have a solo show. But that's actually, that will be the look. Even is the group show, then when I
Mm-hmm.
do the poster or something like that, I'm doing it only in your name, not the rest of the people. Each individual, I will, create a interview, TV, something. Only you, even is a group of 20, but each one of them, then in the future, when you go to another gallery B, when you present them this, they say, oh, you have a solo artist before, then let me give you a chance. But if, as long as you're getting out of a group show, you just another one for the group show. But and to come back to tell you, everybody is an artist. Some people do it just for the show, for people to come see their work. I have in the back of my shop here more than maybe 50 big, large painting for somebody who showed their work last year. They never come back and pick up the artwork after the show.
After the show. That's
After the show, the TV was gone.
right.
The glamour is gone. That was it. Then the same. To come back to your subject, the definition of being an artist, that is a good one.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
I'm not
I was
forbidden,
going to
huh?
follow up and because it struck me when you said that just because a person has learned a technique and can do it and even does it, that doesn't qualify them as an artist. So what is that thing that would make the person the art? Is it the time put in? Um,
And this one will answer another question you have prior to. Uh, you see, for me, actually, I am not generalizing this one. For me, painting is a part of me. I am not Alice Walker. I can't ride her, but I can paint better than her.
yeah.
Then that's just like that. I am not Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
but I like her writing, but I can paint better than her. Then I am trying to do exactly my experience. And for somebody to tell me they don't have a subject, that's the most bothering, like that baffles
Mm-hmm.
me. For an
Mm-hmm.
artist to say they don't have a subject, then my answer is you're looking too far.
Right.
Just to come back to you, and all the subject and the planet are there. Half of my work will never be solved because usually it's based on police brutality, killing black here, like torturing, taking the African resources. But I still make them. I make them equally to the other ones, but they will never be solved. Is very rare I see somebody buy them, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not pleasant to be in
Mm-hmm.
somebody's living room too. I wouldn't even put it in mine, like
Mm,
that. then
Right.
then
mm,
then sometime once in a while you will see somebody to come and say, oh, that's what I like. I like those better, but I sell them even cheaper to the other work, but they make more sense to me as a piece of artwork than what everybody is buying from my work.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Then for me, art is just an extension of my experience, my
Yeah.
surrounding, what's going on today, what was passing tomorrow, and how can I see the future. That's what
Yeah.
I translate to a piece of paper, and how I want to see a black person, always beautiful. I can't see them any other way. That's like that.
Yeah.
That's when I do artwork, I represent black people.
Yeah.
Like everybody who's black, I am representing you when I do the thing, and people can relate to the subject is maybe ugly, but is the truth by not by us, but by other peoples. Like how we are being treated, and even the treatment we're getting, uh, we still excel.
Yeah. This is
Like
this is
you're running with
effect.
200 pounds on your foot, but you still being first again. Then they will find another trick,
mm,
then like that.
mm.
Then let me get out of that subject. But that's how I do my artwork, is based on that. And those subjects, you can be living 200 lifetime, you cannot finish them.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I create my work. And all my work is based on my perspective, not somebody else.
Okay. Tasha, you had a question.
I did, and it's going a couple of steps back. You mentioned language and this whole question of definition. My question for you, Aziz, is I do not know what group are you from? What people or group nation are you from
In
within
Lemon
Senegal?
Park. No, just kidding. I
Okay.
say I am from Lemon Park. No, I am from Senegal, but I live here. Like I don't really belong to anyone. I don't belong to there either. Then this one you have to sit back in the chair because you may not, you may be disappointed with this one. Uh, I am 66. I've been here since I was 24.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
24. I
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know no damn Africa. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know actually. I come all the way to the United States
Mm-hmm.
to can reflect Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot of things because that was, it's just like you from New Orleans, you eat the food right and left. You really don't know how good it is until you go to Minnesota and start eating, some other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
then like that is I didn't know what racist was. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what racist is because I am the
Mm-hmm.
majority. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when I am in Senegal, I am the
Mm-hmm.
majority. All the white or any other race will come there. You kiss my ass to show me how good. You can tell me about how bad other people. But all those for me to figure them out, I figured them out coming to the being in the United States. Even my painting wasn't like this. Before, I didn't want to paint a human being. The only things I wanted to paint is like something abstract and
You're
those kind
grumpy.
of things. Then coming to the U.S., this is when I started
Lay down.
to paint something more
Yeah.
nostalgic
Turn
to
around.
Africa.
Lay down.
But I am from Senegal.
Yes.
Before I came here, I did like rock carving. I used to go to the beach. You see, rock. We was doing it as play. There was nothing else to do. That was our iPhone. Then like do that. Then beside that, I did glass painting. My background, I did shipbuilding. And did like carpentry, shipbuilding, metal, something like that. Then but
Lay
where do
down.
I belong? I don't know.
Okay.
I I
Let
am
me ask a
I
more
am
specific, let me ask a better
I am
question.
African from Senegal.
And I love it. I'm African from the US of A. Let me ask a better question, going more to what I'm trying to get at. Is French your home language?
No, French is a school language, but
Okay,
it's
what is
not
your
this
home
language.
language?
It's Wolof.
Wolof.
If
Okay, I
if
didn't know if you
yeah.
were Wolof. That's what I was actually asking in my kind of roundabout way that took us, but I
Yeah.
loved all of that you put in. So my question is there a term in Wolof for that's comparable to the term art which comes from Greek, comes to write our English use from Greek, from Latin, etc. And actually has stayed kind of in this Greek Latin place without too much, influence from France or the Britons
Yeah,
or
and actually,
us. Is
that
there a term?
I can tell you, you can go play the lottery today because that what you ask me, nobody in life never asked me that.
Fabulous. That's what we're going
Yeah,
for.
not
Yeah.
not a single. Then and we don't have that word as art. We have it in a different way.
Uh-huh.
There is an ethnic group or there is a group of people who are called yatkat. That's mean the people who carve.
Mhm.
The people who carve. That's maybe the closest one to say anybody is doing art. Because painting wasn't really what we did.
Mhm,
We did carving, not painting.
mhm, mhm,
And most of the African things, if you paint it, you paint it in sketch or you put your mark in something that
mhm,
Mhm.
is stable. But painting related to art would be carving, and the
mhm,
carving, the people who
I
do
can't
that,
hear.
they call them yet cuts. The one who carves.
mhm, mhm. And
Right.
thank you. That is, I began to get in touch with that principle, um, actually from my home base, because I had a parent who was very much into ancient Egyptian language and ancient Egyptian thought and trying to understand it. And one of the things that she looked at, my mom, one of the things that she looked at was, all of this beautifully appointed aesthetic painting and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. There are no names assigned. There is no term in the language for quote unquote art. There are these, things comparable, to what you're saying. There's the sculptor. There's the, what I'm saying, the one who's, working and carving the the things on the
Yeah,
wall. There's the, speaking to an activity that refers back to a social function, again, rather than this a modern Western notion of a specialized, not only a specialized class of people, but a class of people with a specialized personality. Getting to what Skyra was saying, is there this, kind of unique expression of talent and intelligence that is so a Western imagination, with all of this profound sense of hierarchy and a hierarchy of value, who in the society actually has value or importance for contributing to the culture. So thank you so much for that, Aziz. I've been
And
waiting
there
a couple
is
of months
just
to ask you.
one of them I forgot. There is
Yes.
one of them I forgot. The one who do the drawing on a fabric is called Chu. Then there is the one who scarf, the yat cut, and the one who do anything on a piece of leather or something like that, or clothes, is called Chu cut. That's means the one who stand. Then those are the two. Actually, nobody never asked me that question of any close to it. Actually,
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful response. And that is my question for now.
Great.
Disappear
Well,
again.
I think it's a good place to ask about each of you individually, right, and the work you do. And what your inspirations, your influences have been. What artists have made lasting impressions on your process, or what legacies, right, that you might see yourself working in. And maybe Tasha, we can go one by one and look at the examples of the work.
Absolutely. I will reshare. And we will go to.
I don't know. My camera doesn't work.
Okay, so we'll start with Skyra, because I think as the conversation has unfolded, without it needing to be asked, right? Folks have talked about the function, right? The social function of art, its uses, and the kind of truth that's being told. So I think we can just go ahead and, this piece, Skyra, if you.
It's interesting that you chose this piece because it speaks, for me, it speaks a lot to what we've been talking to. And so this image, for me, was about the gatekeeping of artifacts, as they're called, of what they refer to as art that is sourced from various places around the world and kept in a museum. And so this image is actually a collage. All the cutouts are from magazines, and they're from magazines that center a lot around the pillaging of art globally. And so this is sort of, a figure breaking out of the frame and sort of examining us as opposed to us examining the figure. But I think for me, my first and foremost, my inspiration comes from, and this really relates to being raised in the country with, goats, chickens, no running water. We get our water from the spring, no electricity, just little kerosene lamps, and just living with the land, not so much on the land, but with the land. Being raised in an environment where everyone around me uses their hands to do things, and functional things can be beautiful, going back to that. So that's my biggest inspiration, is just my childhood and my parents and the community around me that raised me. Also the ancestors, those who I am conscious of, those who I'm not conscious of, those who I know of, those who I don't. I feel it all comes through. From a young child, I've always been influenced by art made by people thousands of years ago. It's always been incredible to me. I spent a lot of time creating and making things out of found objects, and never knowing that anyone would ever consider it art. Until one day I went to the African American Museum here in LA, and I saw Charles Dickerson had a piece on the wall made out of auto parts, and it
Yeah.
stopped me in my tracks. And I thought, wait a minute, whoa, you know. And what blew me away more than anything, that almost brought me to my knees, was a Black artist. And there was just this connection and this understanding that what I was doing was not unique to me, but unique to peoples. And it was astounding, and it opened up my whole world. And, you know, so Charles Dickerson, Noah Purify, Betty and Allison Sarr, Dominic Moody, Willie Middlebrook. I mean, the list goes on. I am inspired so much by artists just here in LA. And continuously astounded at the number of Black artists here in LA alone that just fall through the cracks, you know. And if you ever get a chance to go on Instagram or YouTube and check out this series that is called Falling Through the Cracks, you would be amazed at how many
Falling
people
through the cracks.
there are, Black artists there are. And so I'm inspired all the time, you know. Yeah, I'm Art Above Reality, I think, is the name of the thing, but I can send you the link and share it maybe in the comments on the YouTube. But I think that I'm also inspired by objects. Anything and everything can just really inspire me.
What is this piece called?
It's actually, there is no title for this piece. Okay. I have not, it's funny, it's one of those pieces I never even thought of a title for it. And I, you know, a lot of times I don't know what happened until I put my hands on it. And it's sort of like at the halfway point that I understand what the piece is that I'm making sometimes. I really do go in blindly and just work from intuition a lot.
And work from intuition and see where the spirit flows.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And you know, I used to hear artists say that, and I used to kind of roll my eyes and be like, what? Until I really started practicing and really, and then I understood. I completely understand. Completely understand. And I'm so annoyed when people don't understand. When they roll their eyes and they're like, oh, that's some hocus pocus. I'm like, no.
Well, I find it's actually limiting the possibility of the artwork when it's titled. When it's titled, the picture, when I just see it without you putting any title, is like the whole planet together. Everything is possible. I can breaking the ceiling. I am cracking that door.
Yes.
You know, that can be anything. But as soon as you call it Joe Frazier, that's it.
Yes.
Then you cut up all the possibility. I think that, you know, sometimes.
And again, it's putting it in a box.
Putting it in a box.
And it's putting
the title
in
is
a
another
box,
frame
right?
to be broken out of.
Yeah, it's also stunting.
Some of them don't need the title.
The viewer's ability. And I feel like it stunts the viewer's ability to connect and to have a conversation with the piece because they have been handed a blueprint. And again, it's such a Western way to see things, to have this plan, this control, this knowledge, right? Without coming in with just an open mind and letting the process unfold and happen, right? And that is another thing we haven't really touched on, but it's about the business of art that ruins it. And from what I can see, the collectors are very powerful because they make the decisions on whose art is good or not.
Right, exactly.
And, you know, and so it's such a hindrance. I feel like it's such a hindrance to viewers and for an artist, for me as well. And so a lot of my pieces are untitled. And again, a lot of museums and galleries do not like untitled pieces.
Yeah, actually, that's why there is a way to go around it. You take a bunch of work, you call it a series. You make it a series.
A series.
The Josephine Baker series, and everything else. You write everything about that series, and you start titling them 01, 21, 31, like that.
Right. Okay.
Ah,
That's the
Yes.
around it, that one. Then
Yes.
you can make it in a series and just put them, put a number on them.
So, and thinking about, or talking about titling, I know, Tasha, whose slide is next?
DJ.
Let's go to DJ's. I know DJ, you title work, right? I've seen, and
Yeah, but I don't remember what they're called.
but you don't remember what they're called. Exactly.
You
Love
in the
it.
club. You in the
Exactly.
club.
But and I'm
because
wondering,
you're forced, because they
because you're also a
force you to
writer,
title
right?
you.
So I was wondering about your titling in relationship to your writing, right? To your work as a poet, and fiction writer, etc.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna say, listening to Aziz and Skyra, I was thinking about titles and titling work, and they just come, not
mhm,
kind of like making something out of nothing, but I looked up the word conjure because I was like, okay,
Mhm,
let me.
mhm,
I know what conjure means, but what does the dictionary say? And it one of the is two definitions. One said to make something out of nothing, and I think, as artists, we do that because we're coming from a place of dream or something
mhm,
that actually has to happen. We get inspired, like it's
yeah,
bombarding, it's hitting all the time.
yeah.
So I do title mine, and I agree with Aziz. A way around that is, like, I have series. Like, the first solo show I did was called Algorithms of Myrrh. I don't know how I came up with that, but I think I was thinking about algorithms and how that controls us in many ways, if we let it, if we allow it. But the myrrh part came from just the myrrh, incense, and smoke, and
Mhm,
being free like that, and
mhm,
kind of billowing outward. And so series are important. Like, I'm working on a series now I'm calling Myrrh, just not the algorithms, but Myrrh. And it's based on uh I don't know if you've heard David Diggs and Clipping song. They have a song, I think I wrote the title of it. Yeah. But it's about mer people, and there's a voiceover, and it says that that these mer people or merfolk came from pregnant African women that were thrown overboard. It's called The Deep. If And I'll send that to you so you can link it, put a link on there.
interesting.
But the people became mer people, and they had their whole society. So you have to think of these African mer people. And a lot of times I find that, especially for children, youth, they they don't have an imagination. When I did algorithms and mer, I was able to go. They have a children's program called Art Buds, and I went there and I explained to them some of my work, because I have a lot of magical realism,
Mhm,
fantastic creatures.
mhm.
They maybe not don't see themselves. They see it in other people, like Fantastic Four and the Marvel
right.
comics, things like that. But they don't see the possibilities. So there's another series I have called Crow Songs, and I actually was inspired by your Crow Songs for that title in a series. But that was inspired by the massacre at the AME Church, I believe, in South Carolina,
Mhm,
where
Yes.
mhm.
Dylan Roof shut
Mother
up all the
Emanuel.
parishioners at
Yeah.
Bible study. So there's a repeated motif in my work, and it's crows. If ever you see any paintings of crow songs, or feathers, like in this piece, there's a lot of feathers, you know, like
Mhm,
fallen feathers, and it represents that, because I couldn't process it. So for me, when I paint, it's a meditation, and I am a writer and have written for many, many years, but the words sometime or somehow they weren't enough. And
Mhm.
I had started out painting when I was like, a kid, and then, took painting in art school, and so that never left me. So I decided to pivot a bit and see what this would look like visually after not, sketching all the time, but not really painting.
Yeah.
So, but I title my work, and sometimes I'm inspired by many, many artists. Like I'm thinking about Romare Bearden
Yes.
specifically. And I think it was in the 50s, during the time when these New York artists called the Spiral Group. He was part of that collective. So he cuts, and I like the idea of cutting and putting things and juxtapositioning objects and creating from that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for me, art is a meditation, and it is a conjuration, because I can't process all the things that happen in the world. I can't process. I don't understand it. I always say
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't from here. I don't think
Right.
it's for me. Like Earth is the ghetto, if I was an
Yeah.
alien. But yeah, so sometimes titling, sometimes I cut words out and actually apply them to the painting.
Yeah. So you remind me that, the Crow songs, some of them are here and some of them are published there. I need to collect them all together again and have them, yeah, the Crow poems, Crow songs. Thank you. I,
Yeah.
I'm, I'm honored. Yeah, to have been
You're
able to
honored that
inspire
you
anything.
inspire
So
people.
yeah.
Definitely.
Um,
I was inspired by it. When I do that, and I still paint a lot of, because I'm not done with the series, but when I do paint them, I always have your words running in the back of my
mhm.
head. Very inspiring. The Crow song, and it was very fitting because I couldn't process that, and a lot of people can't process like the lynchings that we see of people in the Black and brown communities. Can't
Mm-hmm.
process it, so it goes into my art. I
Mm-hmm.
draw inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think I ever told you, you, Lisa, Leslie, Kathy, right? The San Bernardino crew.
Hmm.
You inspired the one particular crow song, "A Circle of Crows Gather on My Lawn." I had y'all in mind, thinking about y'all conjuring
Mm.
as a group of Black women. So anyway, uh, let's go to the next slide, Tasha. All right, Aziz. So yeah, if you could tell us, about the piece, about this technique, Tessoise, and your
This one,
inspirations.
yeah, this one actually was the fastest and simplest artwork I ever made,
Hmm.
and I actually the part I made doesn't exist, and the part I didn't make the painting. To come back to that, like this is what you see here is a piece of linoleum. I cut the white part you see. I take a knife and just cut those and take it out, throw that part away. Anybody, you can give it to Stevie Wonder will paint the same things I did. You can't make no mistake after the cutting. And this was a process I teach, uh, like for print making. Doesn't have to be even an image. You can trace anything. If you can dress up, put color, you basically I can make you a printer. Then basically this is just I was doing my 30th years. It's basically 37 years, but 30 years is sexier than I say the 30th years anniversary of my artwork.
Hmm.
Then I made a poster, and this was it. I was trying to pick up what artwork should I put to represent my 30th years. And I used to have a linoleum in my face that was 30 by 40, and I just cut them all in a single, cut the linoleum. Then the linoleum
Hmm.
is like 16 of an inch. Then the knife will go inside and you pull that part off.
Mm-hmm.
Then you just paint them. And this uh, is not what I lack of. I have a lot of love. But this is what I want to see. I
Yeah.
think black. This is my experience though. Don't make it general. Uh, I think black people, we need to kiss more, being more affectionate than kids can
Mm-hmm.
see it to repeat the
Yes.
same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Then that is what I wanna see, and
Yes.
that's what I put there. Then
Mm-hmm.
basically uh, the the in the front of the for me life is nothing than male and female too. Don't get me to any other thing. Is then the picture is a male in the back, a female in the front, and there is a Cori shelf. Cori shelf basically represent fertility, represent fortune, represent everything good. Then that's what is there in the front of. I don't see the other part of the image, but there is that part. The hand he is holding the
Mhm.
thing. This take me less than an hour to make the painting, and that was, to tell you the truth, this painting pay my lease for 1 year last year.
Right on.
Yay. Yay.
Yay. I know. Yes. Well, I
Okay.
mean, I really appreciate your comments because
And I don't have a
my
title,
initial
but
reaction was I love the intimacy in the painting, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
it's just, it communicates immediately, right? The intimate embrace there and the affection. So
And
appreciate
I didn't think it's necessary to have a title.
it. Hmm.
If a woman is in the back, is okay. That's her interpretation.
Yeah.
The only things I did have, I was going to put in the front. I know that was a woman and me in the back. Okay,
Mhm.
then that I don't on this painting. I don't see a way of putting a title. It's not necessary
It's not
because
necessary, right?
I want the audience to to participate, to have something to say. Whatever you interpret it, that's what it is. But nobody actually asked me the title. Everybody who bought it, nobody never asked for the title. Then I made a
Mhm.
poster of it, thousands of them right here. Then people who come to the gallery can have it for free.
Mm.
Well,
Okay.
You
I
know,
gotta pull something in before we
yeah,
go
go
on,
ahead, Tasha.
right? Because this is so much a conversation about spirit, right? As we're getting our
Well,
little
which is a point I was about to make is that, I mean, our guests are so like profound and efficient that you're answering all these questions in an
yes,
answer to just one question, right? Uh,
absolutely.
so anyway, go ahead, Tasha.
Yes, absolutely. It's all there. Everything that we wanted to tease out, you're just putting on a platter. But
Hmm.
so, just this whole piece about these liminal spaces, right? The lack of the title being a blockage between the producer and the receiver, and the comparable to, there's
Mhm.
uh, in resistance to the concept of property and propertization, like, like land. How can land be owned? And space be owned, and water be owned, and all these kinds of things. And then this conversation about
Yeah.
um, where our images and inspirations and influences come from, and all of this out of
Mhm.
the conjuring, out of nothingness. And because we as traditional people have a clear relationship with that nothingness. It's the West that doesn't have a clear
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
that nothingness, right? And it gives birth to so many false compartmentalizations, in the area, in the realm of thingness. Thingness becomes such a problem because there's no relationship with nothingness. So it brings me to this point, as we're trying, right, as working people, and I got to get the PowerPoint together, right? Oh, how can I have a PowerPoint with none of the people's work represented, right? And I'm going through, and some of y'all now, it's hard to find your stuff and get to it and take a clip and say, and put it on a PowerPoint. And so I'm rifling through and finding things and whatnot. I said, okay, well, this is what I can capture of Skyra's. What's the title? Right. For each piece, I said, well, since I couldn't find Skyra's title, then I just won't put titles on any of the pieces and they can just let us know what the titles are. Right. And so here's this whole conversation that emerges about the untitledness, right? And the piece that I was able to capture of yours, Skyra, right,
Yeah.
ends up being this piece that's about the, the break
Yeah.
the frame, the break through the through the gatekeeping and all of these dynamics. And that's just, that's
Yeah.
how spirit works, because literally in the blink of an eye, because I selected these and put them in the PowerPoint that's what y'all were waiting for, 5 minutes before the thing as I was finding them. So just had to acknowledge, had to acknowledge the magic of the moment.
Yeah.
Tasha, so you were just making that comment, not about to ask a question.
No, just
Okay, so then let's talk about public art then. Because again, I think, you all have hit on, this problem of elitism and privilege and access. And I think on, well, I mean, unless you want to add more, right, about the art or, the creation of art and the spiritual path, right, or the or what art can teach us about spirit and connection. Anybody want to say something more about that before we move on to talk about public art?
Uh, I it's not that the art is because like I believe sometimes I think this is everybody can be related to it. Then artists you can take the at least let me reframe it to say just me. I sometimes I don't remember making the artwork I did make.
Hmm.
I made a lot of them. It's like to the thousands, and but I don't remember making exactly when I did make them. I used to believe if you start something, if you start any two piece of artwork you have, there is a spirit between those two. There is another artwork can come from it. Then I don't know if I can separate the spirit and the art.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know how to separate those two. It's more. I sometimes I wonder if there is somebody who helped me do what I did. Okay,
Hmm.
then I don't. I think that I see it spiritual. Maybe that's how I can say it. I gain peace. I don't get bored when I'm doing it. The whole world can be shut down. I wouldn't be, that happened in the pandemic. I put a lease, 10 years lease in this gallery, and the landlord tell me, do you know what pandemic is? I say, no. He said, did you see the dictionary? I say, wouldn't make any difference. And he say, this look bad. I say, and you're not leasing the place anymore? He said, no, that's not what I'm saying. Then after 2 weeks, I know what pandemic was. Because, the opening day of the gallery was the official day of the pandemic.
Hmm.
Okay. Then, after putting maybe $70,000 renovating the place, this used to be John Singleton's production company.
Hmm.
Then I used to work here in this place, like to do every single movie John Singleton do except The Boys in the Hood was done in this space. Then and I end up having it as my studio and gallery. Like for 2 years, I basically the door was almost halfway closed, and the only things I was doing is art. That's about it. And how did I pay the rent? $5,000 every month? I don't know, but I am still here.
Right.
Then, and most of the artwork I did make, I don't remember making it.
Mm.
Then that part I don't talk about, but is the spirit and the artwork. I think everybody have their older part of them is in their artwork.
Yes.
Then you can hide a lot of things, but there is somebody can really read something, a body of your work. They can see what you're hiding too.
Ooh.
Then I think my artwork, I can just say, is a part of me, the other part of me, it's like the spiritual part of me.
All right.
Mm.
Skyra, DJ, any comments you want to make on that?
Yes.
Mhm.
No, I fully agree. I fully agree.
Uh, I have a brief comment. Aziz, I remember a piece that you did, and I still have it. It's a postcard, and it was of Gloria Island. And when I went to Gloria
DJ,
Island,
could you repeat that? It's a what?
I got a postcard. I think Aziz actually gave it to me when I lived in LA. It was a postcard of Goree Island, the steps going up to the slave castle. And when I
That's
went to
correct.
Goree Island, I remembered that I carried that image because it was so profound to me, even though it was
Oh,
just on a postcard. Do you know the one I'm talking about, Aziz?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I carried that image with me, and when I got there, it was like I was standing in front of the painting. So the impact of art on us spiritually, which I think that you're kind of getting at, Yusuf, everybody comes with a story, right? In their
Mhm.
head, their memories, their culture, their upbringing. And then you see this piece of art, it's going to speak to you one way or another. It might hit somebody really hard, and somebody else might be, I like that, go to the next piece. But there are certain paintings that we don't know as artists. We don't understand. On some level, we do, but I think for the majority of us, we don't understand the profound level that it's going to affect people on, because they're
Mhm.
bringing their story and we have our story, and we're putting our story down on canvas. And it might just be a moment, that we're
Yeah.
grabbing to interpret reality, but it's going to hit people hard. It's like when I sent you the couple different pieces for the cover design for your book that's coming out. You connected with jihad. You connected to that one.
Boom. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's been my experience. I don't know about Aziz, but or any artist, but usually we're painting something, we have something in mind, our spirit is imbued on that canvas, because it takes hours and hours and hours depending on the complexity of the work.
Yeah.
And so that energy is going to impact, it's going to grab the eyes and the mind of the viewer.
Mhm.
And I think that that's the magical part, that's the conjuration part of it.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I think
Right.
we just doing somebody else's work.
Yeah.
Usually you doing
Mm.
somebody's, the other person may be not a writer, they are a singer, but you just painted something
Yeah.
that people buy what they would have paint if they could have painted. That's
Mhm.
how I see it.
Mm.
Then
Mhm.
that's how I see the artwork I will buy, or
Mm.
actually the artwork I will, like buy is something I would have painted, and somebody beat me to it. Then that I buy.
Yeah.
Right.
Then like that. Then you can do that. A musician, you can basically have all their things, their thought, and their painting. This is their work. You just so
Mhm.
happen to be the artist who did it. But that was in their mind. That was a collective, like a puzzle somebody put together for them. And if they musician, they want that for their album. If they, a rider, they want this for them. And somebody who have little cash, they can have it for their living room. It's just usually the painting's supposed to reflect the. Actually, that's the experience I have to, how people buy. I am asking them, why did you buy this piece from this person or that kind?
Mm.
And those are the answer I I got that one before. If I could have paint, I paint this one.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
Very interesting.
Mm.
Well, we are getting close to our close. I think we have officially like 8 minutes left. We do always like to finish on the, so you know what? Yeah, never mind public art, questions on public art. And really, I think what what started that question on, the document was again, this dialectic of elitism and the privileged, versus those who lack access. But forget all that, right? Because the name of this series has been, art or the world we want, right? And all these various aspects of human activity in the world we want. This massive collective work of art that people are creating called a more just world, a more free world. And I am optimistic about humans' ability to get there because people are doing. So with that in mind, right, your work, the work of artists generally, in creating that world and then sustaining it. How do you see, with that specific goal, right? Creating a more just, a freer, a more equal, a more human and humane and developing, living in the earth and with the earth as part of the earth, etc. Um, how
I
do
don't
you
know
see
how you
your work?
expect us to answer that in 8 minutes, you
I
said.
know, but it's okay if we go over time because we always do. So yeah, I mean, just how do you see yourself or any artist and how we're making that happen, and then what happens to keep it once we get it?
But I think
Yeah,
it's
go
like
ahead, DJ.
I think it's like most of the arts in school because I'm an educator. Um, that's the first thing that always gets cut or doesn't. It's not emphasized like music, art, sculpting, photography, any of the arts, and I think from being an educator for I don't know I'm a professor emeritus so I've been at this gig for a long time. People, they when you're an artist, you're a critical thinker. Like you make critical decisions on so many different levels. And so if you're a teacher of art, you're going to pass that on to have people question reality, particularly, especially if you look at, some of the collage art or, like Salvador Dali's art, art that it doesn't make sense how things fit together, but isn't that the world? And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, it's like as much as possible, especially when I run into young people, if I can provide an opportunity for them to learn, I do so. A young friend of the family, her name is Corey, and she's working on her self-portrait now. And we've been working on it for a long time. And I think, kids nowadays want things instantaneous. So I think the lesson is if you're going to embark on an art career, know that it's going to take you time because it's more than just putting marks on the page. That's important, but you got to know you have to be business minded. You have to think of how am I going to sell this? Where am I going to show it? And then what is the content of my art? What do if I wanted to say something, what do I say? What am I recording? And to just capture that you're a creative being. That's what we're here for. I don't see any other purpose that we're here on except to create.
Create. All right. Skyra,
Yeah,
Aziz,
I'm
whoever
going
wants
to
to
add
jump in.
that.
I think that I think one of the first things would be to just sort of use art to examine and explore the possibilities. Because I think in exploring the possibilities of creating the world we want, our imagination and creativity is our most useful and valuable tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also understanding that as humans, we have existed for such a short time. And although longer than some people want to say we have, but still
Right.
a short time. And the way that we are living, the way systems are set up is so new. And it's not the only possibility to box ourselves in to think that this is the only way to live in this
Right.
world. And I think that Tasha, you had said in a previous session about there is no scarcity, you know, and this idea that there is a scarcity of everything is to keep us consumers and to keep us fearful and to stunt our imagination as well. And so I think it's just letting things flow from the center of your mind and without any bounds, and then look at it and see, well, where are the boundaries? What can we do to, it's the ultimate way to be creative and the ultimate way to be an artist, I think, would be to just reimagine and to start with that and make it a reality.
All right. Thank you. Aziz. World
Actually,
in a
they said
more
it
just
all.
world.
They said it all. Like artists come, because just I have the gallery, artists will come to trying to show me their work. What do you think? I say
Mm-hmm.
that's the first mistake. You do not shouldn't care about what anybody think. You should, people can give you a criticism, or if is, and even the criticism is selected for me, that have to be a positive one. If not, they don't know what they're talking about. Then
Mm-hmm.
don't ask anybody about anybody who came to push you forward. Don't tell them to say anything to put you stand still, but people will tell you the truth. But anything you do is good enough because it's just a stepping stone for the next one.
All right.
As an artist, that's my way of seeing it.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes. And seeking approval is so devastating to the artist, I think, to the
Mm-hmm.
art itself. The seeking of approval from who,
yeah.
and also from who, right?
Yeah.
That's
And I
something
am
that
kind of brutal.
is
You know,
very
there is some of
harmful.
the things don't ask me because I will tell you exactly. You know, then that's that. I don't like mother will come here with their daughter and say they wanted. I want to take my daughter to Otis to art to send. I say actually your daughter don't want to go to Otis. You are the one who didn't go to Otis, and you want to take her to Otis. Let
Mm-hmm.
her do what she wants and take artwork as a selective, not the primary things. You black to start with, then there is there is something going on over there. Be
Yeah.
an artist, do exactly what you mean. Be a marketing, be an engineer, and when you end at the school, they have art. Take the art class. You don't learn it, but you can go get educated about it. Then I say that most of the time they call me back say, if I know I wasn't gonna come to you.
Do you keep a
Uh,
and
mop
and
in the
end up
corner for
being
the
the truth.
tears?
They wanted to be an artist themselves. They wanted to go to an art school. But I say, no, don't transfer that to her. That's not what she wants. She can, I will talk to them just right there, and I will say it in the front of them. I was.
Aziz, you froze.
Oh, so
Okay, looks like you're coming back. Okay, yes. We lost your sound, Aziz. Aren't muted, but we
can't
can't
hear
hear
you.
you, Aziz. Something happened to the audio.
And I
It's
think he
probably
can
the
hear us.
connectivity. Yes. Can you,
But
let's see.
it's true what Aziz is saying, though, now that we don't have his audio.
Yes, go ahead, DJ.
in the case that he was talking about, a mom kind of pushing her, child to go through school, and you have to make that decision for yourself. Talent or no talent, you can be trained and you can learn how to draw and paint and that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But if the person is not feeling it inside of them, it's
Right.
like any other art
Mm-hmm.
form. Cannot push people into doing something just because you wanted to do it and your time has passed.
Right.
I definitely agree with that.
Yes.
And much like creative writing and stuff, you know, I think students appreciate that. It might hurt their feelings, but if your mom and your family is like, "Oh yeah, this is great, this poem," and it really is terrible, then you have
Yeah.
to go back and learn some fundamentals about what you're
Hmm.
in order to build it. It could be there might be a kernel of what you want to say, but it's not complete because you haven't done the work. And this job, people just get to see the end product. It's like looking at a film. You get to see the end product, but you don't see you get to see all the people involved and all the time that it took to put into the production piece. It's not easy, and especially
Right.
when it comes to like we talked about spaces where you would show your art, and just the idea that Black people, African people didn't have the intellectual capacity to produce art. But then you had Pablo Picasso during his blue period going into the Trocadero and seeing all the African masks displayed.
Right.
He took that and invented Cubism.
Hmm.
Kids don't know that when they're looking at a master like Picasso, that his inspiration. Some people say he stole it, but he's inspired by
His
these
inspirations.
masks and these forms.
Yes.
And if you travel in Europe, like I've gone to many museums, they're full of African art,
Hmm.
full of it,
Hmm.
and some of that is being like.
Captured art.
Yeah, and a lot of people are calling for repatriation of the art, just like Sarah Bartman's body.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
People want these things back,
Yeah.
and they should get them back with interest too, because they had
With
them for
interest. That's right. Even the
definitely
Greeks want their
capitalized.
stuff back, right? And they're
Exactly
in Europe, and they're like, give us our stuff back."
right.
Skyra, what you say? Your audio is gone too. I think it's this. I hesitate to call it a storm, but
Yeah.
You better not call this storm
I know,
because it ain't
but
no
it must
storm.
be the weather because now,
Aziz
Yeah.
is that.
yeah,
Well,
Skyra and Aziz, your audio is not coming through. Don't know why.
yeah, because if anybody's feed should be messed up, it's
It
mine.
should be yours, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, there might be something going on with Wi-Fi here because it's been shaky
Yeah.
too, in SoCal. So we can't hear anybody, well, except you, DJ, and you held it down though for our quiet boxes now. Um, it's 4:35 and on the West Coast. So
It's
we will let
7:35
folks,
on the East Coast.
yeah, see, let folks get back to, whatever they need to do on Saturday, create
Thank
some
you.
more
My
art.
pleasure.
It, we have so enjoyed having this was a great conversation, I think, and I like the way it ended up flowing just quite organically, without me having to um, you know ask the questions like a journalist with his crib sheet.
Nice.
Tasha, do we have another slide to share? I'm just wondering.
We have our closing Asante Sana. Thank you for coming
Thank you
with
for
our
having
homemade
us.
music.
And yes,
That
we
is our
will.
final.
We see that we've lost disease, and tech stuff, no doubt. But we have reached the end of the conversation. Y'all were fabulous. Just so appreciate, what you've brought to the JoCo, to our YouTube audience out there. So let me remember to say the YouTube protocol. Like, y'all, subscribe, and share. All right, you got that, YouTube world? We love you and we thank you. Subscribe to Joko. Asante Sana from the Word Park. Thank you. Gonna get Aziz back in. Say goodbye. This piece of music you're hearing is called New York Stroll. New York Stroll, composed by Ayana Duce. Composed and recorded by Ayana Duce, my youngest daughter.
Ayana did this?
Mm-hmm.
You said?
Yeah. That little.
Go Ayana!
Strolling in New York and got inspired. Visited her cousin, I think. So, yes.
Nice.
Ayana's New York Stroll, which is our now official Joko Collective theme music. So we'll stop getting hit by YouTube for copyright infringement.
So
because we're using other folks'
live, right?
music.
Yusuf, you're no longer live?
Yes, we're still live. I'm letting everybody hear all this. But we are about to say goodbye. You know, I'm giving Ayana her props to the YouTube world. But yes, we are going to say goodbye to YouTube now.
All right, thank you. Thanks.